what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
I'm Assistant Chief Wyatt Martin of the Houston Police Department. This critical incident briefing is intended to provide you with information about an officer-involved shooting that occurred in Houston on June 22, 2022. You're about to see video footage that is related to this incident. HPD conducts thorough investigations into officer-involved shootings. These typically require investigators to interview multiple witnesses, view numerous hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. It is important to note that we are in the very early stages of the investigation, and we continue to review additional evidence as it is collected and analyzed. The videos you're about to see can be graphic and may be difficult to watch. These videos may also contain strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Members of the Houston Police Department were dispatched to a residence where a stranger was reported to have forced his way into the home and attacked the elderly residents. Officers arrived and were met by a female resident who stated a suspect was inside the house fighting with her husband and their neighbor. Officers entered the home, first encountering an elderly male with a knife. The elderly male was a resident of the home. The residents explained that the suspect was fighting with their neighbor in the back bedroom. As officers approached the back bedroom, the neighbor warned officers that the suspect had a gun. The suspect, Darant Durant Williams, pointed the gun in the direction of the officers. Officers discharged their duty weapons at Mr. Williams, striking him multiple times. Officers rendered aid to Mr. Williams until HFD arrived and pronounced the suspect deceased. One of the complainants was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. No officers were injured.
He has a knife. He's been shot.
He's been shot
around the corner.
Is he still active? Is he moving?
He's not moving.
Drop it.
Okay. Come out. Suspect is a black guy.
My neighbor's there. It's the black guy.
Is he back there?
Yes.
Is he the neighbor? Right here. Okay. Sir, he's got a gun. They got a gun. Get back.
Sir, don't move.
Stop.
Shots fired, 971.
I got it.
Shots fired. Hey,
You good?
hey, get your...
I'm good.
Sarge, you want to come back this way, Sarge? I'll come with you. Come back. Don't move. Hey.
Everybody good? Suspect's out. 6721 19. Suspect is down.
Don't reach! Show me your hand!
Get the back. What I got?
Quit moving!
He's down. Sit down.
No, good.
What are you?
I just got grace. I don't know.
You got a graze here. You fine. You got a graze.
So you can see the shadow on the wall, the shape of the suspect's gun, which of course the little slide bar down here kind of covers it up a whole lot. So I'll back it up a few seconds and pay attention to this lower area. You will see the shadow of the gun. Okay, so before we go any further, let's dissect this one. Alright, so before I go into this, I think it's important to read a news article that provides some more detail. This is detail that I wish they would have given in the video, but as sometimes it happens with some of these agencies, they just give you enough info to kind of know what's going on, but it still leaves you scratching your head like, huh? So this article provides some more helpful information. At least it's helpful for me to understand what's going on. This comes from KHOU 11. A Houston police officer shot and killed a suspect in the Sharpstown area of southwest Houston Wednesday. Blah, blah, blah. It happened 11:30 a.m., 6700 block of Langdon. Blah, blah, blah. Police said it was a complex scene that started when the man, covered in blood, was beating on the door of a home asking for help. Acting very erratic, he said something akin to he was being chased or somebody was trying to kill him. Witnesses told officers the man then went next door and got inside an elderly couple's home. There was a struggle and the woman called police, and he said he had some type of sharp weapon and was fighting with her husband. Another neighbor came over with a gun to try and help the couple. When officers arrived, the woman opened the door and screamed for them to hurry. She was covered in blood on her right side. There was a lot of screaming from the back bedroom of the house. That's when the male homeowner came out and told officers that his neighbor was in the bedroom with the suspect. The neighbor and the suspect were fighting over the gun. The suspect was able to get a hold of the gun, and when police arrived on scene, they reportedly told him to put the gun down multiple times. The suspect refused and pointed the gun in the direction of officers. Blah, blah, blah. We saw that happen. Suspect died in the house. Female officer suffered an injured elbow, possibly caused by the gunfire, but she's going to be okay. All right, so this guy showed up to someone's house, beating on the door, covered in blood, asking for help. And then, I guess after he wasn't able to get inside or wasn't able to get what he wanted, he went next door to the elderly people's house and got in their house. Now, how he got inside the elderly people's house, I don't know. It could be that one of them opened the door and he forced his way in, and then being elderly, not having enough strength, couldn't hold that door and keep him from coming in. It's also possible that they just left their door unlocked. So two things. Answering the door and securing your door. I'll start with securing your door. So you've got to lock your doors. Like, you've got to. Just because you're home doesn't mean you're in the safe zone. You know, it's not like when you was little kids and you're playing tag and you went to this one area. It was like, oh, I'm in the safe spot. You can't tag me here. You can't get me. Your house isn't that like that. It's not a fucking talisman. It's not going to keep bad things out. You have to lock your door to keep things out, or rather slow things from getting in. Slow them down long enough so that you can be prepared for when they maybe do eventually come in. All houses can be breached. All doors can be breached. It's just a matter of time, really. Some are easier than others. So you've got to lock those doors. You just don't know who could just come up, open the door, and walk on in. Some people, because it is their home, they think that they're safe there, and so they will neglect to lock that door. It could be that, you got home, you brought groceries in. Some people, they may make a good effort most of the time to try and keep that door locked, but because of little things here and there, they forgot to lock it back. You really got to be on your toes. You got to be hyper vigilant about making sure that your doors are locked. Even if you keep your exterior doors locked, but you're one of these people that keeps your garage door open, that little door that leads from the garage to the inside of the house, you've got to keep that one locked. Now, do a lot of people keep that door locked? I don't know. There's probably a lot that don't. Because they see it as an interior door. Like, who locks the bathroom door? Who locks the bedroom doors, right? That can be a way for someone to get in. Even if you live in a good neighborhood, you should still be locking your doors, because you just never know when bad people will be coming into that neighborhood. It could be the police have initiated a pursuit on someone halfway across the city, or hell, even on the other side of the county. This pursuit lasts for a while. It ends up in your neighborhood. They crash. They get out on foot. They run. They come to your open garage door, run in, go into that door that leads from the garage to the house, go in because you left it unlocked. Now they're in your home. You're standing in the kitchen with friends or family, and you're baking cookies or some shit. What are you going to do? Is your gun on you? Or is it in your bedroom that is on the other side of the house? Locked doors buy you time to be prepared for when they eventually come inside. Because if they're determined enough, they can get inside. Alright, so securing doors. Got to do it. Answering the door when someone comes to it. So generally with phones, internet connection, messaging apps, etc., we know pretty damn well when we're going to have company at the house. You know, when family's going to come over, they'll call you. Hey, are you home? I'm going to stop by. Friends, same thing. Text you, snap you, whatever. Like, most of the time, you're going to know when friends or family are going to be stopping by. Now, there may be those occasions where they want to surprise you. It's your birthday. There's something else going on that they want to surprise you for. They could show up unannounced. But for the most part, you're going to know when these people are coming by. Even when you do know that these people are going to be stopping by, you should not just blindly open your door. You should just not blindly go unlock the door in anticipations that they will be the ones who come in. In the between time, between them getting there, again, there could be a police pursuit. Person crashes and now they're running. They come to your house, and because you left that door unlocked for that guest that is coming over, boom, now they're in. Or they run to your door and they bang on it. You, thinking it's your friend or your family member, just go to the door, don't even look through the peephole, don't even look through the window, whatever. You just go over there, unlock the door, open it. Hello. Oh, you're not Bob. And then boom, they're in. So even when you know you are having company come over and you hear a knock at the door, you should still ask who it is. Hear their voice. If it's the voice of the person that you know, then you know you can open that door. If it's not the voice of that person you know, don't open it. Ask them who they are and what they want. There's nothing illegal about that. It's not a crime to talk to a person through the door and keep that door locked on them. People may see it as rude. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I give a fuck about my life. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you through that locked door. If you got a Ring camera system, that's even better. While you're sitting in the house, talk to them through the damn intercom thing. Nothing says you have to open the door for a person. They can stand their ass outside and talk to you through that locked door, or talk to you through your little Ring camera that you got. Figure out what the hell it is they want. Is it an elected? Is it voting season? Is it an elected official coming by to give you their brochure and their sales pitch on why you should vote for them? Is it Girl Scouts going around selling cookies? Boy Scouts going around selling popcorn? Is it the new person that's taken over some type of pest control thing for that area and is trying to generate business? Is it someone going around trying to sell educational books or steaks? I mean, whatever, all kinds of different solicitors can come to your door. You ain't got to open the door for them either. Just tell them, I'm not interested, thank you. And they can keep on going. During normal daylight hours is when you're going to most likely have solicitors come to the door. Now, if it's an elected official who is wanting to be reelected to office, or if it's someone else running for office, there's probably a decent chance that you should have seen them at some point, either on a TV advertisement, social media advertisement, whatever, or see their signs in other people's yards. So you should most likely be able to recognize those people. And even if you can't recognize them by face, they just don't fit that typical look and profile of a troublemaker. Now, some of them, not all people look the same, but some can have, different looks or whatever, but you're going to know pretty certain, who these people are. A kid in a Boy Scout uniform, Girl Scout uniform, whatever, that's a dead giveaway. Like, what fucking gangbanger walks around in a Boy Scout uniform? You got to use some common sense with this stuff, right? Other people, like someone who's going around trying to generate business for the pest control, someone wanting to sell security alarm systems, other stuff like that. Sometimes those people, it can be hard to tell them apart, because some of them can look like what would be the typical people that you see as criminals. So you have to make a gut decision on that. Are you interested in those services? If not, keep the door locked and tell them, I already have an alarm system. Whatever. Even if you don't, lie. There's something wrong about that. You don't know who these people are. Get them moving along. If you do decide to open that door, then you are going to be entering a realm where you're now going to have to be managing an unknown contact. So then that enters in a whole nother ball of stuff. We're just going to keep it at the locked door, because that's what I recommend. Unless it's your friends or family coming over, fuck everybody else. Talk to them through the locked door. If it's solicitors, send them on their way. If it's someone who says they need help, like this guy was, and you can see blood on them, still, don't open the door. Do you want them getting blood all over your carpet inside your house? I sure as fuck don't. What caused them to bleed? Is the Michael Myers motherfucker still outside? You open that door, do you want that person to come in too? No. You can call 911 while that door remains locked. It could be fake blood. You have no idea. So I always recommend keep the door locked. Do not open it for anyone. I also recommend that when you go to answer that door and it's an unknown, unscheduled visit, like you have no plans for people coming over for that day, no one's talked about coming over, you go answer that door with your gun. And by answer, I don't mean open it. I mean talk to them through the locked door, but you still have your gun with you. Then if you do decide to open that door, let's say you can't even look through the door because you don't have a peephole, you don't have a little window thing on top. You have to physically open that door to see who's out there. Even then, if you got a chain on the door, keep that on. Crack that door open a little bit. Keep your foot behind that door and some of your body behind that door, so if they try to start forcing their way in, you can shove it back closed. And if they're more powerful than you and they're starting to win, and they start to push that door open and that door frame starts to crack and that chain starts to come undone, then guess what? You got that gun right there. Now you can shoot them out of the house. Alright, so aside from that, what do we see here?
He has a knife.
Officers responding to a call that is a deadly force type of call, or has the high chance of there being a deadly force situation. This is a high risk call. High risk calls, in my opinion, require long guns. If you're going to a home invasion, that person could be armed with a weapon. They could have came there, they could have came there with a weapon, or they could have found a weapon in that home. Every household has a weapon in it. Because every household has a fucking kitchen. All kinds of little Michael Myers toys in there. So they could have found a weapon in the kitchen, or United States has either half or almost half the guns in the world right here in the U.S. So there's a damn good chance that there was a gun in that house, and that person could have gotten access to it. So you're going into a scenario where there is a very high risk of deadly force. Long guns are the best thing to have for those type of things. The best thing to have. Because they can very rapidly incapacitate the threat. They do it more effectively than a pistol. A rifle is more accurate. It has a longer barrel, and there are more points of contact on that rifle to stabilize it, to reduce the movement within that system to where it can become even more accurate. Whereas with a pistol, you have a very, very short barrel, and you only got two hands to hold on to the pistol. You don't have, there's no shoulder stock on it, nothing like that. The littlest amount of movement, just the merely pulling of the trigger, can move the whole gun for some people. At very close distance, that much movement, it's going to throw the shot off. It's not going to be exactly where he's intending it to want to go, but at such a very close distance, it may not matter a whole lot, but as you start to add increments of distance, it's very noticeable. Very, very noticeable. The terminal ballistics between rifle and pistol are night and day. Rifle cartridges are just downright devastating. They dump a lot of kinetic energy into the target. They fuck shit up. That's what they're good for. Pistol cartridges, I don't care what caliber it is, 9, 40, 45, they all fucking suck. So they should have been going into this with rifles.
He's been shot around the corner.
Is he still active? Is he moving?
He's not moving.
The homeowner had no idea how close he came to getting smoked, because these officers are coming in, they're saying, what does he look like? What does he look like? That makes me think they don't even know the guy's black.
Still active. Is he moving?
He's not moving.
Anytime police come into a self-defense scenario and you've got a weapon, they don't know that you're the good guy. They're going to assume that you could be the bad guy or that you are a potential threat because you're holding that weapon. The police do not know that you're the good guy. The only people they know who are good are the people who are dressed just like them or very similar to them. They got a badge and some patches on their arms. And they got a full duty belt and uniform. Those are the only people they're going to trust. Everyone else is suspect until they can 110% prove otherwise. And right now, there is no fucking way to be able to prove 110% who the hell you are. So yeah, your ass is going to be told to drop the weapon. Had he continued out that door and didn't drop that knife, there's a very damn good chance they would have shot his ass. So you have to be ready to drop your weapon right then and there. Especially a gun. A lot of people have a problem with dropping their gun. Your gun is a tool. It's no different than a hammer or a screwdriver. It is a tool. There are some guys who treat their guns like it's the fucking Holy Grail or some museum piece or some shit. Like, I don't know. There's just like there's some gun people out there that don't make a whole lot of sense to me. And they treat it, like I said, like it's some type of museum piece, some Holy Grail, like some coveted thing. And the idea during training to just drop that gun on the ground, like it shakes them to their core. I don't know. I just, those people are wired different. You should be able to, in a training class, hold your gun out and drop it. And in fact, a good training course will have you do that. And the people who object to doing that are fucking stupid. Because they are not looking at the gun the way they need to be looking at it. It is a tool. It is a hammer. It is going to get wear marks on it. You have to be prepared to drop that thing at moment's notice when the police get there. Because if you do not drop it fast enough, they will fucking drop you. And you may not get back up again. What I recommend to people, especially when they're using guns for self-defense, is if they have to do the thing and police are responding, if it's safe to do so before the police ever get on scene, like I said, if it's safe to do so, you should holster your gun. Because you do not want to be holding on to a gun when the police get there. Like I said, they're not going to know that you're the good guy. They're not going to know that you're the victim. Even if you tell them, I was attacked. So, lots of people lie. You could be lying. They don't know. So yeah, you're going to have guns pointed at you. You're going to be told, drop the gun. You may even be told to get on the ground and put your hands behind your back. You got to go with it. Because they do not know who the fuck you are and what's going on. Knives for self-defense. So this elderly couple, obviously, they either A, don't have a gun, or B, they may have a gun, but it's something that the woman doesn't know how to get to. It could be in a safe. Only the guy knows how to get into it. Maybe something. I don't know. I'd say probably they don't even have a gun. There's lots of households in this country where people just do not believe in guns at all. They don't have guns. Whatever. But when bad shit happens, they inevitably go to the kitchen and get a knife. They suddenly realize that something capable of producing serious physical injury and or death is needed to keep their asses protected. But yet they neglect to get a gun. They vehemently oppose a gun until bad shit happens to them, and then they get something that is capable of killing, a knife. A knife isn't the greatest thing, in my opinion, for self-defense. You have to be up close for it. Like, you got to be within arm's reach. That's the only way you can stab someone with a knife, right? I mean, you could throw it from across the room, but that's only going to be, a snowball's chance in hell that you get a stick in them. So you're going to have to be up there close to them. And by you being close to them, they can fight you. They can wrestle with you. They could even potentially take the knife from you and use it against you. But let's say they don't get it from you and you use it against them. You're going to have to use it multiple times on them. A knife, edged weapons can kill. It's something that humans have been using for a long time. When humans, first started using rocks and pieces of wood, just, clubs to kill with, they eventually figured out, hey, if we put a sharp point on these things, it works a fuck lot better. And so those pieces of wood started being sharpened, turned into a spear. Those rocks started being chiseled with another rock and had edges and pointy tips made into them and became knives and then became arrows. And for a long time, that's what we used. So yeah, they can certainly cause death, but they may not cause rapid physical incapacitation. And because they may not cause rapid physical incapacitation with 1 stab, 2 stabs, 3 stabs, 1 slash, 2 slash, 4 stabs, 3 slashes, you have to keep doing more to get the desired effect, to get them to stop being the threat, stop fighting you. Now, if you're lucky, you can mentally incapacitate them with 1 stab. Stab them. They're like, oh, fuck, I got stabbed. Oh, shit, I'm done. Fuck this. But that's lucky if they even recognize the fact that they've been stabbed. There's a lot of people in fights, when they've been stabbed, they had no idea. They just thought they were being punched by the other person. Even in gunfights, people have been shot and did not know they were shot. When you hit fight or flight, you get a lot of adrenaline and endorphins pumping through your body. So they might not even register the fact they've been stabbed. So they might not even be mentally incapacitated at that point. They may be a determined attacker. And although you've stabbed them 5-6 times, well, because they have not been physically incapacitated, they're going to keep fighting. And when a person is stabbed multiple times with a knife, people look at that and think, oh my God, he stabbed him 12 times? That's not self-defense, that's murder. Because a lot of people look at movies and they see the 1 stab, and the person fucking falls, and they're done. They're dead. It's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. There is a guy by the name of Varg Freeborn. He is a trainer. He does self-defense stuff, yada, yada, yada. And he, at age 19, was involved in a self-defense scenario where a person came into the dwelling that he was in, and he defended himself with a knife. He ended up stabbing the person double digits, like 12, 19 times, something like that. He was tried for, I don't know if it was murder or manslaughter, but he was tried for some homicide-related type of charge. Got sent to prison. Got released. He fought the legal system, and finally got his case overturned, or his rights restored, and got his name cleared. So, and he's been doing self-defense training, police training for quite some time now. If you have not checked out Varg Freeborn, I highly recommend it. Violence of Mind is his work, and it's some good stuff. There's some videos of him talking, some podcasts over on the primary and secondary page. Highly recommend checking those out. It's really good content. But what point I'm trying to make here is a knife is probably not going to be the best self-defense tool, because in order for you to get the desired effect, you may have to stab that person multiple times to get them to lose so much blood they are physically incapacitated. And when you stab someone 10 times, that looks bad to the common person who is so used to watching movies, never being involved in shit like this. They see in the movie a person gets stabbed once or twice, and then boom, they drop to the ground, deader than a doornail. They don't understand physics. They don't understand the anatomy. And so you could look at that same situation that Var got into, being wrongfully charged and convicted. That's why some agencies don't allow their officers to carry knives that are meant for stabbing people. There are some officers and some agencies that allow their officers to carry a knife or a dagger on their duty belt. Usually it's by the magazine pouch or behind it. And the idea behind doing this is that, for one example, is during a gun grab kind of scenario where a suspect's trying to grab the officer's gun, the officer, using their dominant hand, will push down onto that person's hand that's trying to pull the gun out of the holster to keep the gun down into the holster. Or another method is to grab the bottom of the holster and pull upwards and essentially have it in a sideways plane so that the back of the gun and everything is pushed into their side, and you just physically cannot pull the gun out that way. And if that person's hand was on top of the gun when you did that, then you're pinning their hand into your side as well. Whichever method, whatever. You do that, and you reach down to your left hand to where your magazine is, or your magazine pouch, somewhere in that area, and you pull this knife out. And you can either A, reach across and cut that person's arm that is trying to grab your gun, and cut it so deep that you either damage or just sever their tendons that run to their fingers. So if you hold your arm up right now and look at your palm and look at your forearm, take your fingers, take your index finger and pull it down. Your middle finger. You look at your forearm, you should see some movements under your skin around your wrist and forearm area as you make a fist. So open your hand, make a fist. Open your hand, make a fist. You should see some movement under your skin. So the idea is to, that knife, you reach across and you cut that person's arm, you cut those things in there, and then you cannot use your fingers very effectively to grip onto things. And then they will, of course, release that hard grip on your gun because they can't get a hard grip anymore. And then the other thing is, especially if it's the dagger style, you just take the dagger out and you just start punching them with it. Fucking stab them in the neck, stab them in the high chest area, whatever, in the lower ribs, whatever. Start jabbing. Or even if it's a knife, you can reach across and cut the throat. Sounds good in theory. My problem with that is usually the holster holding that knife is not a retention style, so it can be very easy for that damn thing to come out. I used to carry in that method and for that purpose, but I stopped carrying my K-Bar TDI because there's no fucking holster out there that will retain it. I got into a fucking ground fight once with some people, and damn thing fell out. And it was just so easy to get out that kind of, I guess you could say, that kind of scared me. I was like, oh shit, like, hell, if it just fell out rolling around the ground, like, fuck, someone could grab that and fucking stab me with it. So, I haven't come across any good holder to hold that thing in and keep retention on it, so that's why I don't carry it anymore. But some other places will say you can't do that because it just looks barbaric when you have to use it. Because when you do use it, you may have to do multiple stabs with it to get the desired effect, and that can look bad to the common person. And then other agencies will use the excuse of there's no official training for that, at least from the state's standpoint. So law enforcement agencies have to go through curriculum that is approved by, the state law enforcement entity, not like a actual police entity, but like a governing body, like a law enforcement council, or some governing body that sets these standards for the law enforcement within that state, commission or whatever. They've got, well, hey, this is the approved firearms training class, instructor class for this. This is what we do. This is what's at the academy, yada, yada, yada. And there may not be a curriculum that's set up for a knife like that. And so the agencies will say, well, there's no approved training for that. Yeah, there might be this dude who teaches a class on how to do it, but there's nothing within our state that teaches or certifies us to do this, so it's a liability. And I can understand that in some of those places. I can kind of get that. But anyway, I think I talked enough on knives and stuff. Reconsider a knife as your primary means of self-defense, because it may probably not going to work out the way you want it to.
Drop it! Okay. Come out! Suspect is a black guy.
All right, so on top of telling them to, hey, come out of there, I think it would be important to say, run out to the driveway. Go out to the driveway and tell people where we're at. One, that gets them completely out of the house. So that if there is a gunfight and bullets are going both ways, they're hopefully not going to take a round that misses and goes to the wall and hits them. And then secondly, it gives them something to do so that they're not lingering around in there. Because once they say, get out, now what are they going to be doing? Well, now they could be potentially be standing in the fucking way when you need to quickly get out of there and run back through this doorway, and then boom, you bump into them. You fall, trip, knock over. Or they could be grabbing something, and then someone else comes in, and they see them holding something, and they're like, oh shit, it's the dude, and boom, they get popped. So I think it's important to, in this scenarios like this, just get them out completely out of the house. And I think that telling them, hey, go out to the driveway and tell people where we're at and how to get in here, I think one serves the purpose of one, getting them completely out of there, but two, kind of gives them something to do. And they may be one like the best fucking direction givers ever, standing out that damn driveway directing everyone in there. Go through that door and turn left and make another left. Sometimes you got to give someone something to do on a scene. It's always been joked, at an accident scene or any other kind of thing, you got people standing around, like, if you tell someone, hand them a shovel and tell them that something needs to be done, like, the people who just stand around, like, they're probably going to go do it for you. They'll probably go dig you a really great hole. But yeah, getting them out of there would be really important.
Neighbors, it's the black guy.
Is he back there?
Yeah, is he a neighbor?
Okay.
All right, so we see a lot of signs of struggle here. Shit knocked out. We got a flip-flop in the middle here, something there. This is laying there, and of course, two guys right here. Boom. Lots of blood, too. Blood right here on this door frame, and there's blood on this wall over here. I'm sure there's probably some more blood that is visible within this immediate area. We just can't see it very well because his hands are in the way, and the lighting conditions just aren't the greatest. But lots of blood.
Stop it, gun! But they gotta go! Get back!
So, bringing a gun to a fight and getting hands-on with people. Unless you are trained and experienced in getting hands-on with people, and you got the equipment that can hold your gun effectively while you're going hands-on with these people, I just do not encourage people to go hands-on or get themselves put in situations where they could be doing that. For example, you're at home and someone is trespassing onto your property, or outside, like damaging your car, like they're just out there just hidden, going to town on it with a sledgehammer or something, whatever. I just do not recommend people go outside holding their gun. For one, you're you're probably not experienced or trained in dealing with, someone, and you're bringing only one tool with you, and that is a deadly tool. Just because they're outside doing something doesn't mean that what they're doing warrants deadly physical force. So you walk out the house and you got a gun in your hand and you approach them. What are you doing with that gun if there's nothing there for you to shoot them for? Are you going to put it in a holster? Do you even have a holster on? If you do have a holster on you, is it a good holster? Will it retain that gun in a fight if they start becoming a physical threat to you that has not yet met that threshold for deadly physical force? While you're wrestling around with them, is that gun going to fall out and then they easily get a hold of it? Like, those are things that I don't think that a lot of people think about. And it should be things that you should be thinking about. I just do not recommend people go out to engage people outside their house, like trespassers and stuff like that, because you're not equipped and you're not trained or experienced in dealing with that. So this person who came in, I don't know. All I know is a neighbor had a gun. So that neighbor came in, he had the gun in his hand. Why didn't he shoot? I don't know. We don't get to see what he saw. If he came into that house and that dude was holding an edged weapon and was fighting the other guy, then I 100% believe that neighbor should have used deadly physical force. If the guy didn't have anything in his hand and he was just inside the house rambling, then the neighbor, what did he try to do? Did he try to go hands-on with the guy? Which, from the way the sounds of it, it sounds like the guy was fighting the homeowner inside the house. If it was just a physical kind of fight, like there are no weapons involved, they're just wrestling, does he have enough to use deadly physical force at that point? If he does decide to go up there and go hands-on with him, is he going hands-on with one hand while holding the gun in the other? Does he have a holster to put that gun in? Will that holster protect that gun from a simple grab? Like, those are things that you got to think about. And I just don't know the circumstances with the neighbor and the gun. But the neighbor, and the bad guy started fighting over control of this gun, and the bad guy got it away from him. The dude is lucky that the police were there on time, because there's a damn good chance that after he had wrestled that gun away from him, he could have used it against him. And that's that would be shitty. That'd be a sucky ass way to fucking die. Get shot with your own gun? Fuck that. Like, that's horrible. I mean, one, on top of being shot, like that sucks, but to have your own gun taken from you and then be shot with it, that double sucks. And as a regular person, you also need to consider the fact that there's been a lot of police officers over the years who are trained, who are equipped properly, and they have had their guns stolen from them, taken from them, and were fucking killed with their own gun. If you take a trained police officer who was using a security retention holster and the bad guy gets their gun from them and kills them with it, what fucking chance does your stupid fucking ass, with maybe only a concealed carry class training under your belt, gonna have going up against someone and you don't even have a fucking holster to put your gun in? So again, do not recommend going and getting involved in shit that you don't need to be getting involved in. Don't be going out and getting involved in shit when you're just not trained and equipped to do so. Now, am I saying don't go out in public with your gun for self-defense? No, I'm not saying that. Like, the fight comes to you, you respond to it. Someone out in your yard, someone out at your mailbox fucking with your shit, and you want to walk out with your gun in your hand, not the best thing is going to happen. I could talk more about this stuff, but I need to keep moving on.
Sir! Don't move!
Stop!
All right, so he fires. Now let's look at how he's shooting. Oops, back up some more.
Gun! Sir! He's got a gun! Wait, I got a gun! Get back!
Who's got a gun? Sir! Don't move!
Stop!
So he does not have the greatest grip on this gun. Essentially, he really only has a one-handed grip on this gun. This area back here should be covered mostly by his support hand. He should have a tighter vice grip, so to speak, using both hands on this gun. We should not see this much space. So, in a sense, he's only shooting this gun one-handed. He fires multiple rounds. He fires, I think, somewhere around 9 or 10 rounds. I tried to count it, but somewhere around in there.
Stop!
Shots fired, at E71.
I got it.
Shots fired. Hey, get your...
I'm good.
Sarge, you want to come back?
He goes to do a reload. Now, I like the fact that he's going to do a reload because I could tell that he fired about 9 to 10 rounds. Now, does he consciously know that he fired 10 rounds? Probably not. He's in fight or flight right now. He may be thinking that he only fired 5 rounds. He may even think that he fired more than the amount of rounds that he fired. A lot of people, when they're asked, how many rounds did you fire? A lot of people don't even get anywhere near right. They might be close, but they're not on the number. They're not on the money when it comes to it. Some people may say, I think I only fired 3 rounds, and they fired 8. Some people may say, I think I fired 8 rounds, and they only fired 4. Some people get pretty damn accurate, pretty close to it, but under fight or flight, that's just not something that you're going to be able to count on, is being able to accurately recall how many rounds you fired. So this whole idea that you can count your rounds to your gunfight is complete bullshit. You just don't know. And that's why it's good to do a reload after you've fought and have assessed the target and scanned. So that's the FAST protocol: fight, assess, scan, top off. So he fought the guy. He stopped shooting. We can't see where his eyes are looking, obviously, through the camera. But it's probably a pretty good idea that he's probably looking at the guy and be like, all right, I don't need to shoot this guy anymore. He's probably looking into the room from where he's at. He's like, all right, I don't need to, I don't see anybody else other than the other victim here. So now I can top off. So I love that he's topping the gun off because the fight could start again. And it's always good to start with a fresh, topped off mag in your gun versus a partially depleted mag. When you do reloads, your reloads should be when you want to do them. You should not be doing a reload when you are forced to do a reload, because then that's against your terms. Your reloads should be on your terms when you want to do them. It would suck to, let's say this guy got back in the fight. It would suck to continue this fight, fire 5 more rounds, and then have to do an emergency slide stop reload. Like that would suck. In the middle of a fucking gunfight, have your slide locked back on you? Fuck that. So when it's safe to do so, change your magazine out. Put a fresh mag in that gun. Even if you see that you blew that fucking dude's brains out, do a mag change. Because there could be another bad guy around. Bad guys work in pairs. So I like that he's doing the mag change. I just don't like how he's doing it. So he is doing a tactical reload where he is trying to retain the magazine that is coming out of his gun and then putting a new magazine in the gun. So a tactical reload is taught in a lot of different places. The idea behind it is that partially depleted mag, you get to retain it and use it later if need be. I can't think of any shootings where a person had made the conscious decision to do a reload when they wanted to do it, retain that partially depleted mag, deplete all their other fucking magazines in the gunfight, and then go back to that one magazine that they had retained at the beginning, and then put that thing in the gun and stop the fight with that partially depleted mag. I don't know of any scenarios like that have occurred. Not saying there isn't any, but I just can't think of any. And if there was, I think that would be some shit that would be referenced all the fucking time, like the 21-foot rule thing. The Tueler drill. Like, so many people reference that thing. If someone has stopped a fight with a retained, partially depleted mag, I feel like that would be a talking point. Like, that would be something that people would reference back to. I don't prefer that method of reloading a mag. In my opinion, the partially depleted mag that is coming out of the gun should freely fall from that gun and hit the ground, because it's going to be a faster reloading process. You reach down, pull new mag out of your belt, bring it up to the gun, hit eject, slap new mag in, get back in the fight. Whereas for a tactical reload, you reach down the belt, grab mag, bring mag up to gun, hit eject, try to catch that mag with that same hand, using the other fingers of that hand, pull that mag out, slightly shift that hand a little bit, insert new magazine into gun, try to slap it into place, and then take that partially depleted mag and try to put it in the pocket or put it back in that empty magazine pouch. That's a lot of fucking movement and shit right there. And because you're trying to juggle two magazines in one hand, you increase the chances of you dropping those fucking mags. So now, if you do drop both of those mags, now you have no mags in your hand, and you potentially only have one round in your gun. And if the fight starts then, well, now you're going to have to pull your other mag out of your belt, slap that in the gun, and now, unless you carry 3 mags on your belt, you're down to your last mag. And your partially depleted mag and your other full mag that you was going to put on the gun is now on the fucking ground somewhere, and you may have had to move to other cover. Or let's say both those mags drop to the ground and you reach down and you grab one. You pull it back up. Boom, it's the partially depleted mag. Shit, this ain't the one I fucking need. Then you got to bend back down and grab the other motherfucker. That's just a lot of unnecessary bullshit that you don't need going on in a gunfight. So the most simplest thing to do is pull a new mag out the belt, bring it up to gun, hit eject, let that fucker fall completely, hit the ground, and ideally, before it ever hits the ground, your new mag is into the gun. That's what I teach. That's what I like the most. It's simpler. And if you want to recover that magazine that fell out of the gun, then you can look down briefly, see where it's at, put your foot right there to it, squat down, grab it, do what you need to with it, and move on. Now, so he is attempting to do a tactical reload here. But it looks like to me that he just has not had enough trigger time to make this quote unquote flawless, or to make it more efficient. Number one, we see that he does not have a good grip on the gun. The web of his hand is super low. When you do a reload on your gun, your dominant hand holding the gun should be still gripping that gun in the way that you would be if you would extend it out and start shooting it. You should still have a good full grip on that gun. He does not have a good grip on this gun. And Watch how he attempts to do this change. So that wasn't a good freeze frame. Let me try it one more time.
I'm good.
Sarge, you want to come back this way, Sarge? I'll come with you.
So he has he pulled the other magazine out and then moved it up and has it against the frame of the gun, his thumb holding it in there. So that means he ejected the magazine first and then went down to his extra mag. Should never do that. The only time that magazine comes out the gun is when you have a new mag right there to put into it. So you bring mag out of the belt, bring it up to the gun, then you hit eject. You don't hit eject before you get that new mag out of the belt. So one, he's doing that, and then secondly, watch the magazine that he's trying to put into the gun. Did you see that? Show it again.
Sarge, you want to come back this way, Sarge? I'll come with you.
He puts it in. He puts it in backwards to begin with. He recognizes it and he flips it around.
Come back. Sarge, you want to come back this way, Sarge? I'll come with you. Come back. Sarge, you want to come back this way, Sarge? I'll come with you. Come back.
So that again tells me that he has not had a great deal of trigger timer training on this gun, and B, it's telling me that he does not have proper placement for his spare magazines. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people have their support magazines oriented in the wrong way. Your spare magazines, when they're on your belt, number one, if you're, let's say, you're a right-handed shooter, your belt buckle, to the right of your belt buckle is your gun. To the left of your belt buckle is your spare mags. And those spare mags need to be pointing towards the belt buckle. So many times when I see people carry the spare mags on the other side, they've got the bullets pointing in the wrong direction. So when they reach down and they pull that magazine out to go take it and put it into the gun, the mag is oriented the wrong way. The bullets are pointing in the wrong direction. It's going to go in backwards. When you have bullets pointing towards the belt buckle, when you reach down to pull that magazine out and put it into the gun, it's just a damn near just seamless movement. Like, you don't have to be moving the wrist a whole lot at all, really. You just reach down, pull it out, and into the gun. That's simple. I will, unfortunately, and they need to be horizontal, in my opinion. Unfortunately, within law enforcement, there's a lot of laziness and complacency, and you will see magazine pouches oriented in a horizontal way. I don't agree with that placement. The only reason people do that shit is because in law enforcement, it's usually a seated position because you're driving a whole lot, and the magazine pouch can kind of dig into your belly some. So a lot of people will try and orientate those magazine pouches in a horizontal plane. I've also seen, and on that horizontal plane, they'll be on their left side, and I've also seen the horizontal plane done on their right side, right next to their gun, and I've also seen it in a vertical fashion on the right side with their gun. Not the biggest fan of that kind of setup. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a magazine on your support side. It could be beneficial to you to have a magazine on your support side so that if something happens to your left hand or arm and you can't get magazines out, you can more easily access a magazine on your support side and do a one-handed reload. But ideally, magazines should be on your support side. And vertical and bullets facing the belt buckle. But anyway, what are his setup? We don't get to see exactly. We can tell that A, he just hasn't had a whole lot of trigger time on the gun itself. and B, he just does not have good placement with his magazines because it just ends up being fucked up from the get-go there.
Sarge, you wanna come back this way, Sarge? I'll come. Come back.
So why does he need to be coming back? You've already gained this area. You already pushed forward. You're dominating this space. Why the fuck are you retreating back? No need to retreat back at this point. Hold what you got. Don't lose the space that you just dominated and then might have to refight to reclaim. You claim this shit. It's yours. Stay there. But he moves back.
Don't move!
Right into that shot fire.
Everybody good? Everybody good. Let's get down.
6721 19.
Let's put this down.
Oh, reach! Show me your head!
Someone else shoots again. We're about to see that.
What about? He's down. Sit down. No, I'm good.
So what I was talking about with magazines, like she's got them on her right side too. Like, no.
You got a graze here.
All right, so she thinks she's got a graze. At this point, they should be initiating assessments on themselves or on each other. Some people, when they've been in gunfights, they don't know they've been shot. And she says that she may have a graze wound on herself, and he even sees something that he thinks is a graze wound. If there's a graze wound, then there's also the possibility that there could be an actual gunshot wound, like a full one. So do an assessment. If you need to start ripping that uniform shirt off, do it. Pull that vest off, do it. Run hands up and down the legs, check for blood. You got to do that. Like I said, some people may not recognize that they've been shot. Their adrenaline and endorphins will mask that pain. Self-check is good, but if you got a buddy there, they can check your back and everything, and even your front. That's even better. Unfortunately, with the way today's world is, a lot of people can very easily have sexual harassment complaints against them. So when it comes to checking a member of the opposite sex, you got to be, of course, mindful of their organs and where your hands are and how your hands are doing stuff. Now, when it comes to life-saving measures and they're unconscious, it's clinical at that point, right? Like, it's clinical. But awake, oriented, and everything, like, she's going to be able to check her chest area herself, right? Like, she can do her own self-exam. No need for this guy to risk getting a sexual harassment complaint against her for, let me check it, and then running hand over the boobies, checking for a gunshot wound, and then boom, he gets himself a harassment charge. But no, on a serious note, it is good for that second pair of eyes to help do that assessment and run hands and look for blood. I do like to point out the fact that she does have a tourniquet on her belt. That's a good thing. Unfortunately, we just don't see so many others doing the same thing. So she does have a tourniquet, so that's great. All right, so we're going into the other body cam now. Well, this is the slower one.
Stop!
Hurry up!
What's going on? Where's the suspect? What do they look like? What do they look like? Do they have a weapon? Does he have a weapon?
He has a knife.
All right,
He's been shot.
So you can see blood right here at the front door, too.
He's been shot.
Around the corner.
Is he still active? Is he moving? Step aside, ma'am. Step aside. Move. Sit down. Get down. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Back up. Back up. Come on. Back up. Get out. We're going to go there. Back out. Go over there.
My neighbor.
Okay, we're going.
It's the black guy.
Okay.
Is he back there? Yes, he's in that bedroom.
Is he your neighbor?
No, I have never met
Sir! Back up! Who's got a gun? Sir! Don't move! I think I've been shot. Oh Oh God. Oh God. I don't know. Is he okay? Check me. I feel like I've been hit. Are you okay?
68. I'm alive. 67. 21. Got shots.
Are we good?
Everybody good?
I don't know. I felt something. I don't know if I've been hit.
67, 21, 19. I think you're good.
Okay. Am I okay? No, I'm good. I think I just got grace. I don't know if I got shot.
You got a grace. Okay. You'll be fine. You got a grace.
Okay. So I did see something interesting when I first went in. This guy's vest.
It's the black guy.
Okay.
Covered in blood.
Is he back there?
Yes, he's in that bedroom.
Is he your neighbor?
No, I have never.
So it looks like he's not even wearing his vest correctly.
Sir!
He's got this side panel completely undone. It's dangling there behind him. Why is this? I don't know for sure. They do have rank insignia on their arm, so it's possible that maybe they don't work normal patrol. And this vest was, they don't always wear those outer vests. And as they were going to the call, they put it on real quick, or as soon as he got out of the car, he put it on real quick. Or it could be that he's had this vest for a while, and this is the side that he always enters in onto the vest. And so that Velcro gets open and closed, 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 open and closed a lot. And the Velcro is worn down. And his quick movements, his sudden bending or whatever, caused that Velcro to unfasten, and now it's dangling. So I had a vest do that to me. I had an outer carrier vest where that one side of the vest is the side that I always entered and exited the vest from. So it was the right side. So I would, of course, open it, slip the vest off, hang it. When I went to go put it back on, slip it on, and then close that side, and then take it off in shift. Well, sometimes during shift you got to poop and stuff like that. You got to take it off, or when nothing's going on and you ain't got shit going on, you undo the vest, take it off, and get some circulation going on, especially during the summer. Well, that caused that Velcro to die essentially, and just the simple bending over motion and putting just a little bit of exertion force on that, boom, it would pop open. So I had to replace that side thing to make it where it wouldn't do that. And that could be what's happening here. It just could be that his vest is worn out. If that's the case, then his agency needs to be replacing that real quick. And if they are neglecting to do that, if they're saying, oh, no, it still works, it still closes, then that agency is negligent in that. Actually, you know what? Not just negligent. Like, what's the better word for that? Pieces of shit. That's the word I need to use. Not the one I was looking for, but I'll settle for pieces of shit. If he has made that known to the agency, hey, my vest, this thing don't close very well, it pops open on me, and they refuse to replace it, they're pieces of shit for doing that. But I don't know if that's the case going on or not. It could be that he just doesn't wear it, and he went to this call and he threw it on and just didn't get that side lashed. But whatever's going on, this thing's not lashed on properly.
Back up! Who's got a gun? Sir! Don't move! I think I've been shot. Who's got a gun? Sir! Don't move!
I don't know if she shot or not, but there's a bunch of gunfire going on. 2 officers there in the hallway. One was in front of her, one was behind her. She backed up enough to where the one was behind her, then became in front of her, and then she left the fighting area completely.
I think I've been shot. I think I've been shot. Oh God. Oh God. I don't know. Is he okay?
Hey, are you good?
Check me. I feel like I've been hit. Are you okay?
168. I'm alive. 67, 21.
If I was a guessing man, I'd say she probably hit her elbow on the door frame, backing up like a Frenchman.
Got shots.
Are we good?
Everybody good?
I don't know. I felt something. I don't know if I've been hit.
67, 21, 19. I think you're good.
Okay.
She was a quota hire. All right, let's see this one.
Sit down.
So what I talked about earlier about telling them to go out in the fucking driveway, here we go. As soon as they tell them to get out and they start going in, what's this motherfucker do? He starts fucking going in there.
Sit down.
Don't move!
Sit down.
Don't move!
Stop.
Don't move!
Stop.
Shots fired, 9071.
I got it.
Shots fired. Hey, get your hands up.
I'm good.
Sarge, you want to come back this way, Sarge? I'll cover you.
You okay?
Come back.
268.
Don't move. Hey.
License, shots fired, suspect is down. 150 ASAP.
Hey, don't move, man. Get your hands up. Don't move. Just get your hands. Show me your hands. Don't fucking move. Don't reach. Show me your hands. Quit moving. You get your hands up.
Move, sir. Get away. He has a gun.
Quit moving.
Get out of here.
The guy in the
Get out of here.
Yes, sir. Quit moving.
Take your box location.
Take your time.
Oh, stop. Yeah.
67.
Quit moving, man.
I got units around.
You.
Yes, sir.
White male, gray shirt. Are you hurt? Show me both your hands. Show me both your hands.
Down.
Don't move. You on the down. Don't move.
That one officer has been gazed. No in and out injury. Gaze on the elbow.
Don't move.
Oh, reach for it.
That same is as able to clear if you check my
Quit moving. Move. I'm up. Quit moving, man. The revolver's right there.
That's it.
Take you on for man. What the
Yeah.
do you have on your maintenance report?
White male.
Saw me in that way.
Yeah. You got gloves?
Let me see.
Let's keep on that on there.
Take it away.
Are you hit? I don't think so. Okay, come on. You need to get up. Stay on him. You stay on him.
32, 17, 32, and 34. I need y'all to get in and head that way. 92 on 4-man board, and clear me and 03 all our shorts head that way.
Got a case stuck in my shoe.
Hey, Jeff, we get it out there.
No, I'm good. I got a casing in my shoe. Come on, man.
Come on, sir. Come on. Let's move.
How do you get over there? It's going to be 530 Mary, 672119.
I got you. Okay. I think so. Step on. Come out here and have a seat. I need one else to watch him. Watch the weapon.
Yeah.
Go check yourself. Go check yourself.
I'm good.
We have one suspect down.
I'm good.
All right, let's see this again.
Sit down.
we see that she shoots.
What's that?
Don't move!
I don't know if he shot around her on the side like that. If he did, then that could be if she got a graze wound. But I don't know if he fired or not. If he didn't, then I would say that her elbow either hit that door frame or maybe even her elbow hit his gun and maybe hit the front sight or maybe in the rear sight, and that could be what they thought was a graze wound, potentially. But she is backing up super fucking fast, impedes his ability to get good sights on target. So, as far as I'm concerned, she's just combat ineffective. Like, she don't need to be in this role anymore.
Stop!
This guy, very quickly, as soon as she clears out of the way, pops in, boom, gets his fucking shot in. I like that. But anyway, this dude, I think
What's that?
Don't move!
What's that?
Don't move!
Stop! Shots fired, 9071.
I got it.
Shots fired. Hey, get your hands up.
I'm good.
Sarge, you want to come back this way, Sarge? I'll cover you.
You okay?
Come back.
Don't move.
Hey.
License, shots fired, suspect is down. Come on, HFD ASAP.
Hey, don't move, man. Get your hands up. Don't move. Just get your hands. Show me your hands. Don't fucking move. Don't reach. Don't reach. Show me your hands.
so. Yeah, I mean, they know there's a gun there. This dude's reaching around with his hands. He's not following instructions at all. Earlier, he pointed a fucking gun at them. Yeah, he's still a threat. This guy has not been immediately incapacitated. He's still able to move around. Not very good, but he's still moving around. If they had started this gunfight off with rifles, if that sergeant at the front who got in there so close, if he had a rifle, I guarantee you this would not have went on as long as it did. Back this up.
Don't reach. Don't reach. Show me your hands.
So he activates the weapon as he shoots. Personally, I think he should have probably had that thing activated well before he started shooting. But he got it activated. He fires one round.
Quit moving. You get your hands up.
Well, sir, get away. He has a gun.
Quit moving.
Get out of here.
The guy in the
Get out of here.
Yes, sir. Quit moving.
Take your mark location.
Take your time. Yeah. Or if you stop. Yeah.
57.
Quit moving, man.
I got you units around.
You. Right now, gray shirt. Are you hurt? Show me both your hands. Show me both your hands. Don't move. You on the down. Don't move.
That one officer has been tased. No in and out injury. Gaze on the elbow.
Don't move.
Oh, reach for it.
That's the he is able to clear and check
Quit moving.
And boom, he fires to slide lock. So he has to do an emergency reload. After firing some rounds into this guy, who's already had rounds fired into him by other people, and the dude has a gun right there by him that he's trying to access. Phew, that sucks.
I'm up. Quit moving, man. The revolver's right there.
That's it.
Take you.
But he gets that gun back in the fight.
Move. I'm up. Quit moving, man. The revolver's right there.
That's it.
Take you. What
Yeah.
do you have on your maintenance report?
Right now.
Saw me in that way.
Yeah. You got gloves?
Keep one thing on me, Rob.
Take it away.
Are you hit?
I don't think so.
Okay, come on. You need to get up. Stay on me, Ricky. Stay on me.
32, 32 and 34. I need y'all to get in and head that way. 92 year old 4-man blood and clear me and 03 all our shorts head that way.
Got a case stuck in my shoe.
Hey, Jeff, we get out there.
No, I'm good. I got a casing in my shoe. Come on, man.
Got a casing stuck in his shoe. I don't know if I've talked about casings getting stuck in your clothing before or not, but sometimes that shit happens. Sometimes casing will get in your shirt and go down the front of it and burn your fucking chest, or get caught in your collar of your shirt and be there burning your neck and stuff. I don't think that I've ever experienced a casing get stuck in my shoe before. I have had casings go down my shirt before. But yeah, that's something that can happen. If you do enough practice at the range, do enough training at the range, you should at some point experience hot brass being stuck between you and your clothing. That brass is going to be hot, right? I mean, it had an explosion occur inside of it. It's going to be hot. Unless you've experienced that before, it can be a bit of a shocking kind of sensation. Like, oh shit, fuck. I mean, it's a burning sensation, right? If you have not experienced it at the range, then I hope that you do experience it at the range, because I would rather you experience that feeling and that sensation at the range and know what it's like versus it occur to you out in the wild and you've never felt it before. It's not like it's a thermite kind of heat to it. I mean, it's hot, but it's not like end of the world hot. I don't know. If you're ever at the range, fire a couple rounds and try to pick up that brass that just hit the ground and play hot potato with it. You'll see how hot it is. Maybe even try to, throw it down your shirt. See what that feels like. I'm joking. Don't do that.
Come on, sir. Let's move.
So this guy is, one, an older gentleman, and then two, he's been in a fight. A physical fight over a gun. He's been fighting for his life. This dude's fucking gassed. Like, he is tired as shit. Plus, he's old.
Copy, head over there. It's going to be 21530 Mary, 6721.
I don't see anybody with a fucking rifle.
I think so.
And why this guy is pulling the phone out, I do not know.
Let's move.
Copy, head over there. It's going to be 21530 Mary, 6721.
I think so.
Totally unacceptable for right now. Like, you don't need your phone at all. Why in the fuck are you pulling this thing out? You've got a dude at your feet who is not in handcuffs, and there's a gun right next to him, and you've got a phone in your dominant fucking hand. Goddamn phones are like cancer right now. And I've fallen victim to it myself, but sincerely, phones are a fucking cancer. They build so much bad habits because we're so used to holding the damn things. You have to retrain and rewire yourself when it comes to your phone. And at first I didn't fully recognize what I was doing, but I started realizing, hey, I'm like, what I'm doing with my phone is not good. It's in my right hand a lot. That's my shooting hand. Get it out of my fucking hand. So now, over the years, I know to keep that phone in my left hand. I should never hold it in my right hand for anything. But not just that, but also, when you're driving, you got the phone out. It might be on a mount so that you can use it. It could be charging, whatever. Roll up to something and go to get out of the car, and you grabbing that phone and taking it with you. As you're getting out of the car, you got a phone in your hand. Okay. Well, what's that phone doing for you in the moment? Nothing. It's just you're so fucking used to grabbing the goddamn thing. It's second nature to you. Instead, automatically, that one hand should be going to get the flashlight out. The other hand obviously needs to be open for the gun. So I've consciously made the rewiring process, I guess you could say, to when I am going down the road and I got my phone, it's on the mount, got it charging for whatever reason. I will, before I even get to where I need to be, I will unplug that phone, take the phone out of the mount, and stuff it down in my pocket. That way, when I stop and I get out, boom, the phone's on me. It's in my pocket. I ain't got to worry about trying to grab it or anything like that. And then get out of the car. Or, depending on what's going on, I make the conscious decision to leave the damn phone in the car. Now, phones, they make noises, so keeping that phone on silent, I think, is important so that it just don't start ringing and making noises when you're trying to be quiet and, want noises to be made. But then you end up missing phone calls or text messages if you're not constantly looking at the screen or anything like that. But this right here, why is he grabbing his phone and holding it in his right hand when he has a threat down at his feet? And he just shot the motherfucker. Because you will oftentimes do things under stress without even thinking about it when you've performed those movements hundreds of times. Like that reload that he did so well. How did he do that reload so well? Because he's done it a bunch. He's done it enough times to where it's second nature to him. For example, for me, when it comes to tap, rack, bang, when I'm shooting and gun goes click, I don't even think about, what do I do? I mean, it's instantaneous. Bang, 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 click, pop, tap, rack. Automatic. Zero thought into it. Just pop, pop, pop. Because I've done that so many times. Handling your phone in this manner, how many times has he done this? I don't know. It's got to be probably in the millions. Hundreds of thousands of times he's just handling his phone like this. And so it's second nature to hold that phone. That's why I say phones are like a fucking cancer. They're like a training scar in a way, it's just something that we handle every single day, every hour of the day. And they build bad habits. And we have to rewire ourselves, I think. You have to be conscious and thoughtful of how you handle that phone, even when you're not working. Because what you do day in, day out, like I said, builds up muscle memory. You will instinctively do it without even fucking thinking about it. So, if you don't want something in your hand when you are fighting for your life, or you're standing right next to a guy who you just shot, their hands are still uncuffed and the gun's right next to them, if you don't want that phone in your hand, then you should make that conscious decision to handle your phone a different way. That way, this is not muscle memory.
So, come out here and have a I need one else to watch him. What's the weapon?
Hey, go take yourself. Go take yourself. I'm good.
We have one suspect down.
I'm good. What's that? Shots fired. Shots fired. 9071.
I got it.
Shots fired. Don't move, man. Get your hands up. Don't move. Just get your hands. Show me your hands. Don't fucking move. Don't reach. Don't reach. Good. Show me your hands.
Step back. Go.
Good moving.
Sir.
You get your hands up.
No, sir. Sir, get away. He has a gun. Come on.
Get out of here.
This fucking dude's still standing in the hallway. Like I said way earlier. Like, send this fucker outside.
Get out of here. Yes, sir. Good moving.
Take your time. Take your time. Only if you raise the weapon.
Yeah.
5721 I got you. I got you in the door out.
You.
Only if you.
Yes, sir. Good moving.
Take your time. Take your time. Only if you raise the weapon.
Yeah.
Only if he raises the weapon. Motherfucker, if he even touches the goddamn thing. Like, this dude is not even in a position to even remotely have an idea about what this officer is looking at. I don't even think that dude has even stepped into the fucking hallway to even know what's in the hallway. And then he's trying to tell him only if he raises his weapon. Man, fuck you. Only if he raises by the oh god, I don't know why, but that fucking pissed me the fuck off. The goddamn mere act of one reaching for the gun, grabbing it, and then raising it puts you miles behind the fucking curve. Why would you wait for him to grab the fucking gun and then start raising it before you do something? Like, that dude who said that is a fucking idiot. Fuck him. He needs to be fired. Oh, damn it.
5721 I got you. I got you in the door out.
You. White male, gray shirt. Are you hurt? Show me both your hands. Show me both your hands. Don't move. You on the ground. Don't move.
That one officer that's engaged. Now again and now again. Can't go to hell.
Don't reach for it.
Quit moving.
Okay. Move.
Get away.
I'm up. Quit moving, man. The revolver's right there.
I see it.
Is there another guy in there besides the suspect?
Yeah, well, white male. Okay.
Right now.
You think we can get the gun from right there? Yeah. You good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Let me see.
Move forward. Kick it away. All right, sir, you okay?
Are you hit? I don't think so.
Okay.
You need to get up.
Get up.
Stay on the
32, 32 and 34. I think y'all clear. They had that way. 9204, that boy says, I cleared me on 3 all I sure head that one.
You good, bro? Come on.
I got a case, sir. Come on, man.
Come on, sir. Come on.
Okay, so when he says he's got a casing in his shoe, I initially thought that he meant it went into his shoe. I think now what he's referring to is it's probably stuck in the tread of his shoe. Like, he can step down and he can feel that his foot isn't able to get is completely flat, or you can just feel that there's something, like you get a rock stuck in the tread of your shoe. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
Let's move. Come on. We got one coming out. Come on. I got you.
I think so.
Step on.
Come out here and have a seat in the house. I need anyone else stay there. Watch him. Watch the weapon.
Hey, go check yourself.
We have one suspect down.
You good? I'm good. Okay.
And we have one other person shot.
You good with starting first aid? On him? The gun's over here?
Yes, if you can.
Okay. Okay. I got a tourniquet right here.
I got.
Don't start. Let's talk about your foot. Let's see. God damn it. Alright. I'm just gonna pick the worst arm. Is there a light over here?
There's no second up.
Hey man, just stay still. Just stay still.
Where's he bleeding most from?
So at this point, before even trying to render any medical aid to this guy, he needs to be secured and searched. He could have more weapons on him. And this guy continued to try to fight even after being shot. At this point, they don't even know that the gun was the neighbor's gun. It could have been his gun. If he's got one gun, he could have two guns. So for sure, this dude needs to be handcuffed before rendering medical aid.
He has some, I think it's mainly arms.
Okay, all arms.
I think it's mainly arms.
Okay.
All right, so I think that it's in your best interest to keep the tourniquet strap in its buckles. Don't have it completely undone all the way. There's no sense in having a tourniquet completely undone all the way. What if you were going to use this tourniquet on you and you only had one limb to use? Let's say your left arm is not operable anymore. It's going to be very difficult for you to weave the strap through the buckles properly. The buckle you run it through that one, so you got the, I don't know the terminology for it, but this is where the windlass is. So this windlass part is on that back side of that buckle, and you just run the strap through this one piece right there, and then there's Velcro along the whole thing. So there's no need to undo the strap completely. Now, I do recommend that, let's say you were carrying a tourniquet. First and foremost, that tourniquet needs to be set up and intended for you. And if it's going to be used on anyone else, well, then you can do the adjusting then. But it needs to be set up for you. So your biggest extremity is most likely going to be the thigh of your leg. So you should take your tourniquet, unravel it, get it around your thigh, and have a little bit of, just a little bit of space. That way you can, A, be sure to be able to slip it over the foot, and then bring it all the way up the leg and have it in a high tie spot. Then you can pull on that strap. You might have to undo some Velcro, but undo it, pull as tight as you can, and then slap it back down on the Velcro. That's going to be less movements, less things to fuck with than if you have the strap undone all the way completely. And time is of essence. Like I said, if this tourniquet that he has is intended for him, and he has to now use it on his left arm, chances are he might not even have his left arm capable of using his left hand to hold on to something. So he's going to have to try, under stress, while bleeding, try to weave that thing through that little buckle and then get this thing on his arm and take out all the slack and then start winding it down. That's just too much right there. So you need to stage your tourniquets properly.
Arms. Okay. All arms.
Now, it does look like he has the tab done correctly, so that's another thing that I see being done is people will have the tourniquet on them on the belt. Now, I love the fact they're carrying that tourniquet because so many other people aren't doing it. But they'll have that strap all the way into the closed position. And again, time is of essence. You want this stuff to be set up so that you can use it under stress. When monkey brain is the one that's going to be the more dominant brain. You want that strap in the open position so that as you tighten this windlass with one hand, you can then pop that windlass into place in between these two little plastic brackets. If you have this strap stretched all the way across and it's in the closed position, and you've already tightened down as hard as you can with that one hand and that windlass, you're now going to have to try to hold on to that windlass, keep that pressure while moving that Velcro strap out of the way with your fingers. And chances are you're not going to be able to do it successfully, and you're going to lose your grip on that windlass, and it's going to quickly unwind. And then you're going to have to retighten that shit again, then pop it into place, and then run the retention strap over across the top of the windlass. Again, a bunch of unnecessary shit. Now, when you're just sitting around in cool, calm, collective mindset, your forebrain is in charge. Your forebrain is thinking. You may be thinking, well, that's fucking stupid. You could very easily just, take it off beforehand. But you have to recognize the fact that forebrain will not always be the dominant brain. Midbrain is going to be the dominant brain in fight or flight. You have to set things up to let the little caveman inside you, the little monkey inside you, succeed. You're setting your monkey brain up for success when you stage stuff correctly. Monkey brain does not like very complex shit. It likes simple shit. All right. Obviously, well, I say obviously, but even being shot this multiple times with pistol, some people can still survive. But this guy doesn't make it. He ends up dying, and rightfully so. They do try to offer medical aid to him, but the amount of holes put into him and the amount of blood that he's lost, yeah, there's just some shit it's not going to help. It's not going to do anybody any good. He could have been shot this many times in the hospital, right in the operating room of an emergency room. The best trauma center in the world. This shit could have happened to him. Been right there. Doctors right there, ready to intervene in moment's notice. And it still wouldn't have made a difference. That's probably the type of injuries that he incurred with that many rounds being fired. But you'd be surprised. Sometimes there's been people who've been shot a bunch of times and they still lived. So, we notice that one hand has a glove and one hand does not. So I like how he started to put gloves on and protect himself, but it's not a halfway thing. You gotta be fully committed to it. You have to assume that somebody has something. You have to assume that they have the worst thing possible. They got HIV, hepatitis, whatever. You got to assume they've got it. And you got to protect yourself because you don't want to get that shit. If you have an exposure, there is the cocktail that you can get at the hospital. I've never had it. Another guy I worked with, he got it once. I forgot how he got an exposure. Something happened. He might have got stuck with a needle searching someone. I can't remember. But he had to go to the hospital, and they gave him I don't know what the correct terminology for it is. They just call it the cocktail. That's some shots you can get right after having a blood exposure and there's a suspicion of HIV, or even if they do have HIV, and it's supposed to help prevent that HIV from setting in, from, getting a foothold in your body. It apparently makes you like super sick. The way my friend has described it is he felt like he was dying. And I want to say you have to, it's a series too. Like you get one shot, and then you get another, and then on top of that, you have to be tested multiple times over a period of time, and it's a very long period of time. And so obviously during that period of time, you're not supposed to be having unprotected sex with people, etc. So it's almost like a year or so that after you've had an exposure and you get the shot, that you go through the testing process. And even then, there's still a small percent that even after that last recommended test, that it could show up if you do have it, the HIV. But you can avoid all that by wearing your personal protective equipment, body substance isolation. When you think about your hands and going hands-on with people, that's where you need the most protection at. Our skin does a pretty decent job of keeping bad things out. But you can get little nicks on your hands in a fight. And one break in the skin is an entry point for a communicable disease. So in a gunfight, when you've shot your gun, you could have slide bite on your hand. Slide bite is where the slide comes back and it nicks the web of your hand or your thumb area. I've had that happen a lot with my Glock. I just got a big meaty hand, and of course, that slide sits really low, where the frame and the slide, it's a very tight fit, very low bore axis. So yeah, lots of opportunity for slide bite right there. Now, of course, the newer generation Glock where you got the beaver tail thing, that helps minimizes that, but I don't have the Gen 5. I got Gen 3 Glock. So I can get slide bite right there unless I want to go out and buy that extra modification piece to make a beaver tail in the back. Quickly moving through hallways, around corners, stuff like that, your hand can bang into something, get a scratch on it, whatever. The gunfire that person directs at you, if they shoot at you, their round could hit something and it could impact and splatter. Pieces of bullet jacket come off and one could hit your hand, whatever. Like, any number of things could happen for you to get a nick on your hand. You can even have a nick on your hand from when you was doing some yard work at the house and it's still an open sore in your hand, and boom, their blood gets on you, it gets on that open wound. That's an exposure. If they got HIV, you could be getting HIV. So gloves are extremely important to be wearing when you're dealing with someone who's got bodily fluids all over them. If that means that they're sitting there bleeding while you take the time to get your gloves out and put them on, so be it. And in cases like this, oh fucking well, you brought this shit upon yourself. Sit there and bleed for all I care. I am going home at the end of the day in the same, if not better, medical condition than what I came to work at. I go home with the same amount of holes that I showed up to work at. And I showed up at work not having HIV, so I'm going home without HIV. Not much else to say about this. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.